We are about to say goodbye to our 2014 BMW 428i M Sport. This car was my first car back to BMW after losing my previous car due to financial hardship. A lot of memories were made in this 428i, and it will be missed. However, it is on to bigger and bluer pastures.
This car has served us well for the 24 months it's been in our lives though, and in this video we're going to be talking about some of the, reliability of this car, some of the things we had to do reliability-wise to deal with, as well as what it's like daily driving a two-door sports car, and then finally we're going to go over our overall thoughts on the 428i, and basically what our opinion is, what our final review is of this car.
First off, let's talk about reliability. This is actually our second BMW 428i. We owned a previous one for an additional 2 years, and in total, we've put about 70,000 miles on BMW 428i's across the total 4 years of ownership we've had them. Because of this, we actually have a decent amount of insight on what it's actually like to maintain these cars on a day-to-day basis. This 428i was actually a little easier to maintain than the first one. On this one, all we really had to do was regular scheduled maintenance. There was nothing out of the ordinary, nothing to be alarmed of really in the ownership of this car. We did, however, do pretty much every single regular scheduled service right on interval that you can do. Everything from oil changes every 6 months to spark plugs. We did all of it.
The oil was changed every 6 months, the coolant and brake fluid were flushed on schedule, right on time. The air filters were changed once a year, both cabin and engine air filters changed once a year, as well as the fact we put 4 new spark plugs and coils on this car, in addition to 4 new Pirelli tires, as well as alignments and things like that. That are just kind of regular maintenance as well. All of that is pretty regularly scheduled for a car of 65,000 miles, so keep that in mind if you're buying a high mileage car. You're going to be seeing your mechanic at least twice a year if you want to keep everything in tip-top shape as recommended on the service schedule. But, some people don't do that. Some people would say, oh, does it need a coolant flush? And they just wouldn't do it right on time. I'm not that person. I am that person who does it right on time. So that is that. However, as far as reliability goes on this specific car, it has been very, very reliable for us in the 2 years we have owned it.
It is worth noting that our first 428i did have a recurring oil leak due to BMW having a bad part. That did significantly contribute to the maintenance cost. Luckily, our mechanic actually covered that under warranty, so we paid for it once, but if you were to add those in, it would have been $450 to $500 every 6 months or so until BMW finally released a part that fixed that issue, and then it stopped happening. This 428i, however, has been very, very good with, like I said, absolutely no unscheduled service, but we have kept up on that regular maintenance, and that is something I cannot stress enough. If you own a BMW, plan to do that regular maintenance. Oil changes every 6 months, air filters, everything that needs to be done, brake fluid, coolant flushes, all this stuff is in the regular maintenance plan for BMWs that need to be looked at.
The upkeep and reliability isn't the only thing that I wanted to mention when it comes to the 428i though. This car has been my daily driver for the past 2 years. From running to the grocery store, to running the dogs, to the groomer, to anything and everything, this has been the car. If I wanted to go out, with friends or whatever, this was the car I was taking. And I'll be honest, I have loved every single minute of daily driving this car.
The BMW 428i to me has always been a great daily driver. However, I am a single man with no kids. At most, I would have Patrick in the front seat and squeeze his wife into the back. And it is worth noting that a 5'4" person can fit in the back of the 428i without much issue. Well, that is, after they have squeezed the door. It's a bit of a tight fit.
Something else I do want to note is the 428i has a surprising amount of trunk space, considering it is a coupe style car. I mean, there's a lot of room back there. I have never had any problems getting groceries and having enough room, or even having enough room for luggage as I'm, traveling 600 miles in this car for a road trip. Never have I needed more trunk space in the 428i, and that is one of the things I absolutely love about it. It is great at hopping around town and getting groceries, as well as throwing luggage in and going on a trip, but it's also a sporty car. It is honestly a great sports car to hop around town, get groceries, and go on road trips with and have room for luggage. You'll never really need trunk space. This is as much trunk space as a normal sedan, in my opinion, and that is one of the things I really love about using this as a daily driver.
You can't talk about driving this car every day, though, without mentioning the sportiness. The fact that you can hop in this car, hit a back road to the store, pick up the groceries while you're there and have plenty of room for them in the trunk, and then take a more peaceful road back because you don't want the groceries spilling everywhere, is what really sets this car apart. The sportiness and being able to take that back road and have that fun, it really is what sets the 428i apart. while this is no M4, it is still fun and peppy when you put the pedal down around the corner, and it does have a decently great sport mode. You hit that sport mode and it does make the steering more responsive. It does make the car feel a bit more responsive, and the throttle response goes way up when you put it into sport mode. And while the sportiness has put tons of smiles on my face and Patrick's face and pretty much anyone who rides in this car for a significant amount of time, the Bluetooth has not. BMW's 2014 Bluetooth has been notoriously horrible. It works, but sparingly, and will occasionally just be working fine on a 500-mile road trip, and about 250 miles in, just break. Then you have to turn the car off and turn it back on to get your Bluetooth working, or you have to press radio, media, all to get the Bluetooth working. It truly is kind of horrible. It doesn't work well, and that's kind of in all 2014 BMW models, but it's something that we've dealt with every single day with this car.
So what are my overall thoughts on the 2014 BMW 428i M Sport? Well, I love this car. And while sure you can get groceries without a problem, you can throw luggage in the back, and sure, someone can fit in the back seat, still expect some limitations because it's a sports car. If you ever need to access the rear seat, it is much more difficult to do that. The extra storage space that you might find in the back of a 3 Series by being able to open those doors and put something in there, like a TV even, you can't do that with the 428i. So keep that in mind. However, if you want some sportiness with those daily driving features, the 428i is a great budget and affordable option to make sure you can get that done. So as long as you go into BMW 428i ownership, knowing that it's going to be a great daily driver, it's going to be a great sports car, but you still may have some limitations with it because it is a sports car, your ownership experience is going to be good. Now, sure, you're going to have BMW maintenance issues, sure, you're going to have things like that, but you should also know that going in. It is a BMW. It's going to have an oil leak probably. It's going to have XYZ thing happen to it. And when it does, you need to be prepared for that because, well, it is a BMW. And there's a reason that these cars are somewhat considered unreliable. And while my reliability experience with this one has been great, as I mentioned, the old 428i we had did have a recurring oil leak. That was kind of annoying because we were doing it every time we went in for an oil change. In conclusion, though, I can't recommend these cars enough. As long as you go in with those understandings, you will be perfectly fine. And truthfully, the only reason I'm getting rid of this one is because I finally fulfilled my dream of buying that M4 back there. Always wanted one, and I finally have one. So thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more videos on that M4, or on the fleet of Range Rovers behind me, or on the Aston Martin or the Rolls-Royce, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content. Give the video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.